All right, I want to go over quickly just the next assignment. This is not going to be as long and as complicated as the walk cycle or the animation one. Ideally, after you've gotten to this point, you have a good understanding of posing your character, you've done a walk cycle, you've done an animation, so the animation, setting keyframes, and all that other stuff is much simpler to do. And we're just adding one extra thing on top of the other stuff. So this is our pickup assignment. If you go into Canvas, you go to modules, there's a props.ma file. You download that and you can drop it into your scene and then resize the entire group called props to fit your character. Okay, so it came in originally at that size, but obviously that's way too big. So then I rescaled it so that it fit appropriately this character. Okay. You're going to use your character set. So I'm just using my main Jerry character set. And you're going to have your character pick up one of these items and then set it back down. It doesn't matter which one you have them pick up. The barbell here, the cup, or the dumbbell, the cup, the wine glass. And then there's also some coins there that obviously you can do as well. They all are going to have the same exact functionality. It doesn't matter which one you pick up. It's going to be the same exact setup. Obviously, the items would be picked up differently. The wine glass, you may have them pick up just the stem of it. You may have them pick it up like a bowl. Same thing with this. I actually did for my guy. He picks this up kind of like that, and then he's going to drink it totally the wrong way, and then set it back down, and then that's it. Okay? Yeah. Now you'll notice that he didn't actually pick it up this time. As you do this animation, you want to animate it. Whoa, he's going super quick now. That's a lot of sugar in that one apparently. Let's go back to this. As you animate this, you get the character in a position. You just go through and set some keyframes, and you don't have to worry about a reference in this case. You can just go through and try to figure out he would do this, he would do this, he would do that, and then try to get the poses there. And then you animate it like he's picking it up. But obviously he's not picking it up yet, okay? That's something we're going to add after the fact. So I went through and I just set keyframes. I'll go through my different poses. So he's here, and then he's there, then he's there, then he's there, then he's there, there. Okay, now you'll notice in a couple of these spots, especially where I have these like closer keyframes, those are just holding spots. That's basically he's doing an action and just pausing there for a second just to let the motion process, because if we had too much animation there, it would just go crazy. When he's doing this, if I didn't have the extra pausing keyframes, he'd basically be like slapping himself in the face, which would look ridiculous. And then the same thing when he goes here to grab. His hand is pretty much locked down at this point where it's not moving. Okay, then he lifts it up, holds it to his mouth, another holding area right here, and then he goes to set it down, another little holding area right there, and then he moves his hand away. Okay, so I just went through the entire thing just on the Jerry character set and just posed him, set a key, posed him, set a key, moved keyframes using the track editor as needed to get the timing and the feel of this right. I could definitely come in and spend another like 4 hours tweaking the animation and getting it a lot more fluid, but I'm not going to do that for this. There we go. All right, so I may have to tweak things anyway because where he brings us up, that may not be where he actually drinks from. Okay, so now the next step is to actually make him interact with the cup. I don't want to just animate the cup separately, so just to show you, I'm not going to turn this off. So this is what some people try to do and it doesn't work, is they'll set a bunch of keyframes here and then go up and then like move the cup back into his hand. There you go, set another key there, and then you'll see it doesn't work, so then they come back and try to tweak it as they go and then set another key, and then it looks like it's like actually like floating with his hand, and that doesn't work. Okay, we want it to feel like it's solidly in his hand. So delete all these keyframes. Now, you did say parent, right? So we could parent the cup to his hand. but then we would have to have 2 different cups. Okay, and if we interacted with a lot of objects, that would create a whole bunch of extra hidden geometry to duplicate one cup that stays there, and then another one that would move with his hand, and then turning the visibility on and off, we could definitely do that. Up until this point, if you've done any animation that interacted, I've said to do that because it's quick and easy, and for simple stuff it works. For this, we're imagining that we have a more complex scene. We really want to have this interaction. So I'm going to bring the animation right to about here. Okay, I'm actually going to go right there first before we get into it. And then I'm going to create a couple locators. So one locator, just right there. It's hidden. So let's go to show locators. Right there. Okay. And then I'm just going to parent snap this, or point snap this. I'm just holding V and snapping it to his hand. And then getting it about close to where his hand is. That seems good. And then I'm going to parent this to his hand controller. So that's the control that rotates his hand and moves it. Sorry, this one is the one who rotates his hand and moves it. So that's the one I'm going to parent it to. So click this, shift click that, P to parent it, and then I'm going to freeze the transform on that one. Okay, most likely it'll do that. That's no big deal. It's just locking it in. And now if I were to play, you'll see that that locator moves with his hand. Now I'm going to make another new locator. I'm going to shift click the cup. I'm going to do this a different way to get it over there. I'm going to go to modify, snap align, align objects. And I'm going to say align the midpoints, X, Y, and Z to the last selected object. So that should bring the locator right to that last selected object. And then I'm just going to set this basically on the table here. There we go. Okay. So this one will be the table locator. This one will be the hand locator. And then that's all I really need is just these 2 different locators. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to constrain this cup to the table. That way it's locked to the table and it can't move from the table. So I click on the locator here, which I should probably freeze my transforms. There we go. I'm going to shift click the cup, and then I'm going to go to animation, constrain, and I'm going to do a parent constrain. That way it'll lock or let me link the translates and rotates to this. I want to maintain offset, translates and rotates, hit add. Now what should happen is my coffee mug should have all of these translates and rotates in blue, which they do. That means if I were to try to grab this and move it, it moves, but then if I were to click the locator and adjust it, it'll jump back to it. Okay? It's locked to that locator, so it's not going to move away from the locator once this whole thing is set up. Okay? So now what I need to do is I need to switch it. So I want to have it switch from being locked to the table to being locked to his hand. So at the moment of swapping, which is right about here, I'm going to click on this locator, shift click that cup again, and do another parent constrain, maintaining the offset, and hit add. So now the cup is locked to the hand and the table. So it's going to share the position data. So as I click play, you'll see how it does that. Okay? It's kind of like floating between these 2 things. If I come over here to my channel box and I find my parent constraint, you'll see there's one thing that says table locator and one thing that says hand locator. This value here is what's going to allow me to swap between either the hand or the table. Just so you can see as I move it here, I don't know what that spinning is doing. That seems really odd, but whatever, we'll figure that out. If I tell this to go to the hand, I'm going to put the table at 0. Now it's in the hand. If I put the hand at 0 and the table at 1, it'll go to the table. Okay? So that's all I'm going to do is just keyframe between these 2 values to tell it where I want it to go. 0. All right, so I'm going to go back here to where we're swapping. I'm going to say, okay, right now it's at the table, key it. I'm going to go up 1 frame and just swap the 2 numbers. Okay, so at first it's locked to the table. That frame, we just swapped it, so now it's locked to the hand. So he comes in and grabs it, our swap happens, and now he's locked to the cup. Okay, so now whatever I do with this, I clicked the wrong thing. No, I didn't. There it is. I don't know why they didn't rotate before, but there we go. Okay, so now it's locked to him. So now I can come over here and then tweak my keyframes because it's obviously that's in the wrong spot. Yep, I don't know what he's doing. I think he knows what he's doing. Smash your face in, guy. There we go. Yeah, let's pull that back out a little bit more. Let's rotate this back. He's also a psycho for keeping his eyes wide open while he's drinking out of this cup. Oh no, that's completely normal. All right, let me jump back to my Jerry character set. Let me hit S to set my keyframe for everything. I'm going to middle click on this one and reset that keyframe so that stays 2. It comes up, and then he's setting it back down. Okay, there we go. I think I want to go middle click a little bit further here and maybe just give this a little bit of rotation. A little bit of rotation there. And then set a key. There we go. All right, so now we're going to do another swap back to the table. Now, the exact position that he picked it up from is the exact position that I'm resetting this back to. So when I set my keyframe here for him to pick it up, I middle clicked way down here and I reset the hand like that's his resting spot. So that way the same spot he's picking it up is the same spot he's setting it down. If it wasn't, if he was picking it up from this table and dropping it off on that table, I would have another new locator at that point that would be another swapping point. Okay, so think of you watch a movie like Toy Story where they're picking something up and setting it down and picking something up and setting it down. Each one of those is a separate whole setup like this. They just have fancy tools to do it faster. So here's the swapping point again. So we click the cup. We set a keyframe. I go up a frame. Reset those. And then now we should be drinking, set it down, and he's done. Okay? And then I'd also want to go through and obviously make sure his fingers don't go through the glass. So I would go maybe there, and then rotate that some, open his hand some. Get that thumb out of the way. There we go. And now we have a nice, easy transition from A to B. Okay. Then I would add some materials to my items. So if I'm doing the wine glass, I maybe do some kind of refractive material there. Maybe something metal here, maybe something ceramic there. Maybe I'm doing the coins, shiny, whatever. Obviously, each one of these, like I said, is going to have a different way. You pick up the coins, he's probably going to grab his fingers and pinch the coins. I have had students interact with all the items before where they pick up this and lift it and then they drink out of the cup and then they drink the wine and they scoop the coins into their hand. That's kind of cheating, but it works. You can't just scoop the coins in your hand. I want to see that interaction. Okay, and then I'll do some sort of camera move that shows this off really well. Look at his eyes, dude, creepy. I need to have some sort of blinking happening here. Nope, not that. This. Nope. There we go. I'll just mellow him out a little bit more. There we go. His eyes just popped back open. All right, I guess I keys on those. Right, so you can do a little turntable animation of him moving here, like picking the item up. You can have it kind of still shot if you wanted to do that. You can do a couple things, you know, where you have them maybe over the shoulder or something like that, right? So just make sure it looks like an interesting shot. Make sure the lighting is nice. Make sure the materials are nice. I'll save my animation.